Hi, my name is Steve Gonzalski. I will be the instructor for digital animation GD150 for fall 2022. This is your getting started video. So simply watch this video and take good notes. If you're taking multiple classes, it's really a good idea to have a section of notes for each class, whether you do it digitally or on paper. But make sure at the very front you have the important stuff down that makes each class unique from another class. So you're in college now. Not all classes are going to be the same, and not all instructors are going to be the same. And what they emphasize is important and how to stay on track in the class. First thing I want to go over is just make sure that everyone can access Canvas. So open up a browser, and probably the easiest way to remember to get there is just go to the college's website, then click on Canvas. And then in here, you're going to enter in your same credentials that you used to sign up for a class. And if you can't get past that step, here is contact information for student technical support. And once you log into Canvas, you should see a list of all the different classes that you're taking. Probably won't be as complex as what you're looking at here. Find the class that you're in with me and simply click on it to bring you into the home page. The video that you're watching right now should replace this information here, and then there's just important information that you may want to go back to periodically and view on the home page. Another page that I use in Canvas quite a bit for classes is announcements. So if anything new comes up in between classes, it gets put in announcements. Announcements is also a good place to go if you ever feel lost in the class. You just simply click on it and it should get you going as to what's happening right now in the class. You can always back up and look at past announcements, but usually this will give you some instruction as to how to continue on with the class. Like for example, in this one, it says to go to the week 1 modules, which we're going to talk about next. Again, over here on the left where you found announcements is modules, and this class that you're in is a module driven class. That means that's probably where you're going to spend 90% of your time in Canvas is going through the modules. And it's pretty convenient because they're in order. So basically what you want to do is start here with the orientation module and go through the first one. Once you read or do whatever's applicable on each page, then you can simply click next here to avoid having to go back to the main menu each time. These are the welcome videos that we're going to talk about in a second. But first, I just want to show you what you're going to do for the first week. So you're going to do this entire module that finishes up with the welcome quiz based on the welcome videos, and then you're going to move on and you're going to do the week 1 module. So the very first week of class is the only week that you have 2 modules. After that, it's just 1 module at a time. It's important when you are doing the modules to pay attention to the due dates, and you can see if there's something that's actually due that you're being graded on that week, that will show up right here with the date that it's due and the points, which you'll hear a lot more about that in the welcome videos. So you can see this first week, you have something due August 25th, which is the welcome quiz, and by August 27th, you have another quiz that is due based on the content of the week 1 module. So this welcome quiz is very important because it is essentially a quiz, it's worth points, but also it is a requirement that you complete this by the 25th or you will be dropped from the class. And because the answers are given away in the welcome videos, you must complete it with a grade of 90% or better. So as you go into this module and watch these videos, the answers to the quiz are given verbatim, but you need to make sure that you put aside adequate time to watch all of the videos so that you pass the quiz and can stay enrolled in the class. Before we talk a little bit about time management, let's finish up with what's important for you to look at in Canvas. The next thing is grades. Your grades will be posted for you in Canvas. And it is important that you check your grades at least once a week. Let me know of any errors right away. And while you're checking your grades once or better twice a week, also check the announcements. Another thing in Canvas to look for is this inbox icon. And this is the way that you will email me and if you need to email other students during the class. Another very important thing in Canvas is that you know how to access comments. So for example, let's say that you are working in week number 1 and let's actually move on to week number 2 here, and you turn in the frame by frame animation project. You're going to want to know what grade you got on it, but you're also going to want to see what comments you received that pertain to that grade. So for example, when you're ready to turn it in, you will be inside of this module right here, and there'll be a button. It'll either be up at the top or down near the bottom that you click to submit your assignment. Once you do that and I grade it and make my comments, you should be notified. If you're not getting notified, it's important that you take care of that right away. If you can't figure out how to do it, use this little button here and reach out to Canvas Help. But there is a little button somewhere in your version or somewhere in your settings that will let you control notifications. In fact, you could probably just Google Saddleback Canvas notifications and it'll walk you through there. But by default, I believe it's set up that you get notified right away. What'll happen is when you look at your grade, you should see the comment box and you should read and be able to understand my comments. If not, copy them, go over to the email, compose an email, paste the comments in there, and then ask me what you had questions about in the comments. Sometimes instead of just seeing written comments, you might see a big play button, and that would mean that I left you audio comments, because sometimes it's easier to talk about the work than it is to write about the work. And here's where I'm talking about the little comment box. It may look a little bit different inside of your system, but either there'll be a written comment here or a play button. Now, the other place that comments may exist, and you should always check this, is in the rubric. You should check the rubric before you turn the work in because it shows you exactly how I'm grading your project, but afterwards, inside the rubric, I may make comments one area at a time. So if I were grading your project and I had something to say about any of this stuff dealing with the function of the project, I would click here, I would type in my comments there, and then when you go to view the rubric, you would see my comments. I said I wanted to talk a bit more about time management. Before I do that, let me just say that anything that you feel like I might not be explaining thoroughly in this video will probably be covered in the welcome videos. I spend a lot more time in detail in the welcome videos. This one's just to get you started. But let's talk about the fact that this is an online class. We do not meet in person, nor do we meet in Zoom. It's what they call asynchronous online learning, meaning that there's nothing synchronous about what we do. You just have to stay on top of the class, get everything done each week in the modules, turn it in, get your grades, get your comments, move on to the next assignment. Now, discipline and time management are the keys to your success. There's an old saying that nobody plans to fail. People just fail to plan. And if you can really let that sink in and just make sure that you are putting aside enough time, and you kind of know it right away the first week, you'll look at the welcome videos and say, wow, this is a lot to go through just the orientation of the class. I had to block out a lot of time to do that. I had to make notes. I had to then take a quiz. And, each week after that will be the same way. It's not a class where you just basically do a little bit of work and you get a grade and you move on. It is a college level class, and it should be respected in that way for you to have a good experience and to learn what you need and to pass the class. So just to give you an idea, this class, when it originally met in person, it was a 5-hour class, which is pretty typical of a studio art or a studio design or animation class. Then we changed it to a hybrid class, which means that it was part online and part in person. And at that time, we met for 3 hours in person, but there was still 2 hours worth of video homework and such that you had to take care of. Now, all of that whole 5-hour time slot on this online version of the class has to be taken care of online, but that does not account for homework. So you should know that the average for a 3-unit class is 9 hours of work per week. So if you're not blocking that out, you're really going to have a horrible experience with this class. And if you really want to excel, you should probably be blocking more out, because most people get excited about this class and want to produce really good work. All right, materials for this class. See the syllabus and welcome videos for more details on this, but basically what you need for this class is something to write with and on. So not only for taking notes, but also eventually you're going to be drawing out ideas for your big animation project, and you're going to be storyboarding them and so on. You need a way to back up your files. So if something goes wrong on your computer, you still have your files. The best way is cloud-based backup. A thumb drive is a so-so way to go. I'll talk more about that in the welcome videos. If you will not be using the college library to do your homework, which there's 2 Macs in the library that are loaded with the software, and you could hypothetically get by with that. Most people use their own computers for this class and download the software. Now, what do you need as far as software? Well, you need the Adobe Creative Cloud. Don't just go out and buy it, though. I can definitely find you a better deal than just buying it directly. And from Adobe Creative Cloud, right now, just to get started, the only program you really need is Adobe Animate. Now, the best deals that I've seen out there is through collegebuys.org. And I'm just going to copy this part of the URL and type that in the browser window. When you go to College Buys, typically what you have to do is just enter in the college that you're with, and you'll find a great deal on the program. In fact, yeah, right here, I mean, this is crazy. It's like $40 for the semester. If you did this last semester, know that it's going to come due where you have to redo it this semester. So you may as well do that right away so that you're not stuck without the program for a couple days. But all you have to do is click here, and it'll walk you through the verification process, which is just generally your email from the college. All right, so these things you should try to make sure you have right away, right now. Class officially begins on August 22nd, but Canvas is now available for our class. And if you want to get started, you can. Again, pay attention to the due dates. The big one being the welcome quiz must be completed by August 25th. But if you wait till the 25th to start working on it, you're not going to have enough time to get an A on it, because you won't have time to watch the videos and take notes. Ideally, you should do the welcome videos within the first day or 2 of the class, or start on it right now. Again, it's my way of taking roll for the class. If it's not completed, you will be dropped. And if it's not completed with an A or better, you will have a chance to retake it, but that's not a really good way to get started in the class. Just do the right thing up front. Watch the videos. They're designed to make it so that you have a more pleasant experience in the class and know how to, really get your mind around what you're going to be doing for the semester. If you've had me as an instructor in the past, don't assume that any of my quizzes will be the same as last semester. The quiz that you take that I've been talking about for the welcome video is a fill-in-the-blank quiz, and you must give the exact answer to get credit. The computer's not smart enough to figure out what you meant, so you must spell it correctly, but I show it in the video, so all you have to do is take good notes, and it will be easy, and you'll have a good experience in the class. Let's see, comments, we already talked about that. Just know, as a person in my digital animation class that I say design or designers a lot, just substitute that with animate or animators. And that's just because my background in animation and my background in general is from a graphic designer standpoint. I will probably have made mistakes in setting up this course and or in Canvas itself, or sometimes Canvas just throws out a weird due date. And if you let me know, I will fix it right away. So if you see things that just like, how could Steve expect us to have all this due this week? Email me right away, because it should be really easy that when you look at modules, that's what's due. If something else pops up in Canvas in a calendar and shows something else being due, it's most likely wrong. So again, pay attention to the modules, look at the due dates at the beginning of each module, know what you're up against for the week, but do reach out to me right away if you notice any errors. I want to show you what your probable projects will be for the semester. And to get there, what I'm going to do is go back to Canvas. I'm going to click on the syllabus for the class, and I'm going to scroll all the way down near the bottom. Okay, so we start out with a frame-by-frame animation project, which you're taking a digital animation class, but I like to go back to the basics and have you animate much in the way like Walt Disney did, where you have to draw everything one frame at a time. That way you really get a feel for how the software works, what each frame is for. Then we move on to another project that's called Classic Tweening, and in that one you learn more of the automated features of the software. So for example, if you want something to move from the left part of your stage to the right part of your stage, instead of having to do 30-40 drawings, you just simply, in the first frame, put the object, you go like 40 frames into the future, put the same object, but this time over on the opposite side of your screen, you hit the magic button, the software does everything for you in between. Then we move on to a mix of advanced techniques, which also is called the midterm, because that's about where it lands in the class. These first three projects aren't all that creative. You're, for the most part, just doing what I do so that you learn the software. But the next three projects is basically where you get to shine and show your creativity. So here you're working towards a final project, an animation that you'll conceive of, pretty much all on your own. It'll be 25 seconds long to a minute and a half long. We'll start out by doing a storyboard of it, then we'll do an electronic storyboard of that animation, and then you'll finally dig in and do the animation itself. So if you want to get a start in the class, just simply go in here, click on modules, start at the top, and keep working your way down. The only thing to keep in mind is just don't turn in anything more than a week before the due date, and that's just simply because this is not a correspondence course, and each thing you do you'll get a little bit of feedback on that must be applied to future projects. I look forward to working with you this semester. Take care.